All right, y'all, welcome back to another video. It's your boy, Deep Rhythm. We back with another video. Deep Art, we got another video for y'all today, and special video for today. We want to talk about a specific concept regarding just understanding what it takes to get into a new function or a new environment. You got to understand something, right? When you start to implement it in terms of implementing things and getting into technical skills and this sort of things, and it's coming off your natural rhythm, it ain't always gonna look pretty. You know what I'm saying? Now, success, I'll say, or hitting your quota doesn't always look pretty. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a natural vision and way in which we have things that look, right? We have things look, or we have things carried out. You know what I'm saying? We have a natural vision to it. So when things don't line up to that natural vision, you know what I'm saying, it makes us feel like we haven't really accomplished it in its completeness and entirety. But on the other hand, that natural vision that we have doesn't incorporate itself into how it should look like in real time. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times when we get into real time situations and we're doing what we need to do, it doesn't necessarily look it. But at the end of the day, it is it. So it's important to understand, like, it's a roadblock to get through. It's just being able to understand, like, when a vision that you have is actually being implemented right and when it isn't. Because a lot of times that might even slow us down from what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do. Because we may be trying to, like, accomplish something, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what it looks like when you actually do it doesn't line up with the vision. When you get into the actual technical skill of doing it, it's like, wait a minute, what am I looking at? What is this? You telling me if I do this and do this, this is the result, and I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And it don't feel it. It doesn't require all the energy that you thought it would, or maybe it requires a lot of energy that you thought it wouldn't. I don't know, right? But shoot, but it doesn't feel or look how you envision it. And it doesn't because, the vision came from your own natural rhythm and natural skills. You know what I'm saying? This is an extension of that. So it's like, within your mind and within your own understanding and with your own envisionment, it's going to be one way. But at the same time, from the extension of, whatever your mind has, whatever your mind has put it to, it's going to look a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to translate the same. You know what I'm saying? Because you're looking at it two different lenses. So the important thing to, understand and know about that is just like, you got to see from a perspective of technicalities and just outlets. You know what I'm saying? The differences of outlets. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to this video I made about, like, if you looking through the lens of video games. You know what I'm saying? Each video game is like a different world that you go into, and the world has completely different mechanics to it, different values, different everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's all depending on the world that you go into. You know what I'm saying? It's just like outlets and technical skills, right? You know what I'm saying? The mechanics are different. You know what I'm saying? The mechanics are different, and until you learn the mechanics of the functions that you're in, you can't really gauge or understand if you're really accomplishing what you're trying to do or not. You can't just come from a natural, your own natural space and rhythm and envision yourself doing one thing and be like, okay, I want to do this. This is exactly what I want to do. But then at the same time, once you get over here into this other outlet, it don't feel like you're necessarily doing what you're trying to do. And then you cut back because it doesn't feel the way that you envisioned it or the way that you sought up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You was dreamt up or sought up. You know what I'm saying? And now you pull back, but you're actually doing exactly what you intended to do. It just don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, from a visionary standpoint and from that, from that natural standpoint and vision standpoint, it's like, it don't feel it, it don't look it, it don't seem in no type of way that I'm doing exactly what I envisioned myself doing, but I'm actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I can't cut back from what I'm doing, what I envision myself doing in real time, because it doesn't translate that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's the important thing to understand. It's like almost like communication. Almost like if you're speaking in a different language, you might be saying things to another person that might not sound like you really saying nothing to them, but you really are. You know what I'm saying? Like you really actually translating the, you know what I'm saying, or interpreting the way you should, but it just don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're coming from a whole different language and a whole different, you know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, a whole different, you know, set of perspective. But at the end of the day, it's, or not perspective, but you coming from a whole different language, right? But at the end of the day, you're speaking with the impact, or you're having an impact that you envision yourself having. You know what I'm saying? And that's the most important thing, right? You know what I'm saying? And when you can have the envision that you impacted, you know, or intended to have, then okay, you're doing your job. You know what I'm saying? It's that transition from the natural rhythm and that envisionary space, or that dream space, to reality. You know what I'm saying? And understanding when things are actually going according to plan. And when the things are actually going. It's all about the interpretation and how it's received, how it's interpreted. You know what I'm saying? And that's the important thing to understand. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I'm dreaming myself of, for instance, doing a specific thing, like maybe like running a certain company or owning a specific section of land and functioning in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? When I do, I have to acquire all of the things I need in order for me to be able to do that. That's one thing, right? I got to be able to acquire everything I need to acquire in order for me to be able to be doing that, right? And two, I got to actually like do it. You know what I'm saying? I have to understand and know all of the technicalities and how things position themselves and how they line up and all that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because if I can do that, then it's like now okay, so I'm having the impact that I intended to have in a different language. Man, I'm not gonna lie, this shit is confusing, bro. This shit is confusing. And this is important because I'm transitioning environments right now. So please catch this. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking into a whole different space right now. This shit is confusing as hell, man. Like, you could be doing one thing complete, and you could be doing one thing according to exactly how you planned it to do, right? You could envision something completely and decide that you're gonna, you know, coordinate and do that thing one way, and then shit, when you get into an environment, it's almost like it just looks like a whole sort of type of illusion, like, you know what I'm saying? And it just everything seemed like an illusion, and it's just like when you try to do that thing that you're trying to do, it don't even feel like you're doing it at all. It just feels like you just doing whatever and caught up in an illusion. But man, let me tell you this, man. Keep doing that thing, whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Keep following the discipline, even though it feels like you just in an illusion. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it just comes from environments. You know what I'm saying? It comes from just environments. And you know, when you get into that illusion, man, just keep doing you, because shit can feel like you're just in a big ass illusion. You know what I'm saying? And it just don't feel like you're doing anything that you're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? And it just, when you try to be productive and go based off your own natural rhythm and implement the things that you know you need to implement, it just doesn't feel like, you know what I'm saying, you're really implementing those things just based off of the environment that you're in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just based off the environment that you're in. So sometimes, man, shit'll feel like that. Like sometimes shit'll feel like one big ass illusion, and you gotta be able to commit to those functions still, and be able to do those things that you said you was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? From a visionary standpoint, even if it don't feel like you're accomplishing shit. you know what I'm saying? Or even though it feel like some of the things that you're trying to accomplish just isn't having the impact that it should. It is, you know what I'm saying? Because you speaking to a different audience, you speaking to a different language, you know what I'm saying? So even though it don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, you're having the effect that you have, but you still is, you know what I'm saying? The only difference is the audience change, you know what I'm saying? The communication is different when the audience change. You see what I'm saying? But who are you trying to communicate to is the important thing to understand, right? And from understanding who you're trying to communicate to is what will allow you to be able to, you know, get through the process of doing you know, things that you need to do, right? And it's also understanding, like, are you trying to communicate? Are you really, like, from the environmental space that you in, and you develop yourself? What's the end goal? Well, what's the end goal, right? Where is it that you're trying to end up after this, right? Because when you get into a different environment, right, things change. It's no longer about how I can fully implement myself in my entirety in this place. It's now about how can I train specific things that I can then take and transition to where I want to be. And that's what happens a lot of times when you get into that state. You know what I'm saying? This is a season in life. You know what I'm saying? It's an environmental season in life. You know what I'm saying? That people go through. And it's your ability. There's a season or a time frame that comes, and it's no longer about transitioning or simulating entirely exactly like where it is you want to be at and how you want to do it. Because now it's about literally how can I develop specific things that I can then transition and take to where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? And we can go over all of the things that you need to start implementing, but I want to really make this point clear from within this space. You know what I'm saying? It's your ability to develop yourself, right? Develop the skills and strengths that you need in order to take back, or you know what I'm saying, to where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Because now, what may seem like, you know what I'm saying, because now you're developing something, you know, that you can build and strength, you know, and build strength off of. You know what I'm saying? We're at where you want to be at. So there's seasons you got to go through. You know what I'm saying? And when you go through those seasons, the tricky part is mental, because you left your mind. You know what I'm saying? Or rather, I'll say this: the tricky part is mental and spiritual, because it's no longer about developing yourself, you know what I'm saying, and trying to implement your whole self. Nah, it's about literally focusing on the details of specific things and strengthening specific tools and specific details that you can then transition back to your entire game, or in your entire system, or your entire self, your entire rhythm, your entire functioning. You lose rhythm when you get into certain environments, but it's no longer about, you know what I'm saying, growing and maintaining, growing the rhythm. It's about literally developing specific technical skills and developing specific technicalities that you can then take, and you know what I'm saying, and you know that you can then take and bring back to your natural flow and your natural rhythm, and have it as something that you can use as a natural extension of yourself. That's the idea. And when you get into environments and when you get into scenarios where, you know, you can't, you know what I'm saying, where your natural rhythm isn't there, or there's no place for it, that's the exact time that you need to be developing a technical skill, or focusing on the details of a specific skill, of a specific detail. And then as you strengthen and develop this thing or these things, you know, the season will then eventually come for you to be able to take that back to your natural rhythm. And now you can use this as an extension of your natural rhythm, just like you can use anything else. And now your natural rhythm, your natural, you know what I'm saying, the natural flow is continually still growing. You know what I'm saying? And that's the idea. And that's the focal point. You know what I'm saying? It's for your natural rhythm to continually to keep growing, right? And keep you know what I'm saying, being able to evolve, you know what I'm saying, and change form and manifest. So itself into different outlets. So that's the important thing to really understand, you know what I'm saying. Even though, like, you know, sometimes some of us ain't in a season of really of that natural rhythm of just flowing, you know, as ourselves. We're not in that environment or that state or in that season. It's important to double down on the details of the mechanics of specific things and developing those specific things in its entirety. That way you can take from whatever those things are and pull them back and take them back to, you know what I'm saying, natural rhythm. So that's the important things to know and to understand, you know, and it's important to focus on details. If we're being specific from a trainer's perspective, right, and a training lens, right, this is time and attention, right? Skills like this are developed time and attention. I know when you go to school, right, you know, like you're in high school, you have to manage your time. You know, you may be someone who has played AAU ball or is playing school ball or something, right? You can't necessarily train how you want to train because, one, you're in school all day, then you have all this homework. You know what I'm saying? But see, I'm gonna go through the principles of it, right? I'm not gonna say the other things like, you know what I'm saying, getting somebody to do your homework for you. That's one thing you can do. You know what I'm saying? Which is probably like the smart thing to do, right? But to that point, right? On a principle standpoint, and on a standpoint of developing yourself, right? And on a standpoint of developing your own skill set, the important thing to understand to that is that when you have all this homework, you don't have time for the basketball court. You got all this shit you got to learn, you got to understand, you know what I'm saying, that you got to learn, you know what I'm saying? And if you was in a correct educational system, you would have to learn these things, you know what I'm saying? But when you get out of high school, you still got to learn these things. You still got to learn your history. You still got to learn economics. You still got to learn all of these different things, right? You still got to go to school, you know what I'm saying, and learn these the proper way. But at the same time, when you are learning these things, you don't have time for basketball like you did. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the school system, because you in school half the day, and then when you get out of school, you got all this homework. So if you was learning the correct information that you needed to know, look, this is exactly how it was set up. You wouldn't be on a basketball court. You would devote one time to probably playing basketball, or 1 hour. You know what I'm saying? You would limit yourself. You would limit yourself to 1 hour of shooting. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow, 1 hour of shooting. Every day I'm gonna shoot for 1 hour. And that's time and that's time management, and that's time and attention. And from within that time frame, my shooting is getting better. I'm not developing my game, I'm just developing my shooting. You see what I'm saying? And it's the same thing as when we talk about bass and natural rhythm. I'm not necessarily developing my whole rhythm. I'm just developing one specific aspect, you know what I'm saying, that I can develop in this season or in this environment. And then I'm taking this aspect and I'm pulling it back to my overall game. And I'm, you know what I'm saying, when you see my overall flex, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, right? Don't cry. But that's what we mean. That's basically what we mean by having a natural bass and a natural sense of rhythm, right? On a serious note, to that point, it's being able to take a season, take one aspect, and train it time and attention. And you have to be able to, I mean, of course, calculating this too. Like, okay, so what are the things that I can develop here? What are some things that I want to maintain as I'm in this season, right? And it's maintaining these things. You know what I'm saying? And as you maintain these things, you then go back into you can then go back into the next season with these things a part of you, right? So it's not about maintaining your base natural rhythm, you know what I'm saying, right now. Like, it's about just focusing on the technique, focusing on time and attention on specific things, you know what I'm saying, and helping yourself to develop these, you know, specific things, right? that's the important thing to really develop in this season. This season, it's not about your natural rhythm. That season will come. Your time to showcase will come, but you're just not in that season right now. So just be clear on that. And yeah, just understand that. But peace, love. Take time to really, take mental time to really soak in knowledge and be thorough mentally. And just to take care of that, mentally. Because it's tough when you get out of that natural flow. Or when you're just not in that season. Because you got to come out of that, that season in order to develop some specific things that you can then take to bring back to, where you're trying to develop. That's just the nature of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order for you to continue growing, you have to learn new things. You have to learn new things. And you have to grow. If you was to grow an environment or to grow a space, you have to go outside of that environment to really see how other people, and take from other spaces, and experience other spaces and experience other things, and whether they be good or bad, in order for you to really take and begin to like implement those things from your space, and and go back to your space and implement those things. So that's the important takeaway in this video right here. Hopefully, whoever is listening to this video might be able to soak in something that they might be able to implement. But peace, love, and yeah, we out this joint. Let's get it.